Brothers and sisters, I'm not voting for no more black folks unless they can answer 3 questions for me. If I lived in the Bronx, I wouldn't cast another ballot unless the candidate can answer 3 questions for me. I don't care if you live in Philadelphia, Florida, New Jersey, Harlem, or Queens. 3 questions. Question number 1. Are you a Democrat or Republican? Because if you're not an independent candidate, I don't vote for you. Because if you're not an independent candidate, you're not an independent thinker. Oh yes. You want to know why the black politicians in New York City don't do nothing for you? Not all, you got a few exceptions, but most of them are sellouts. You want to know why? Because they all belong to the Democratic Party. They have to do whatever the Democratic bosses tell them to do. Because they have to be part of the team, the white racist team. And the Democratic Party don't care about black people in the Bronx. So if you vote for black Democrats, they don't care about you either. I only vote for independent black candidates. I only vote for independent black candidates. You want to know why they don't do nothing for you? Because they get their money from the Democratic Party. Every black politician in America, Cory Booker and Kamala Harris included, are financed by white people. How can you carry out a black agenda and you financed by white people? And Republicans ain't no bet. I don't get down with either one of them. We need independent. And once we open up the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey, I'm going to try to influence every last one of you to give up your party affiliations and join the independent black political, not party. We don't need a party. We need a union. So guess what? Somebody want to be mayor of New York, you're going to come and meet with the black political union. Because we got some questions. And we're going to listen to the Republicans and the Democrats and the Green Party and the Libertarians and the Independents. And then we're going to get in a room like this by ourselves, fight it out, debate it out, argue it out, discuss it out, and decide who we going to back. And then we're going to go to that person and we're going to say, guess what? You're going to be mayor next week. And they're going to say, how do you know? You're going to say, because you get every black vote in the Bronx. But let's explain something to you. We got some brothers who don't mind whipping some ass. So once you get elected, if you even think you're going to renege on these prices, your ass will wake up in a bed full of chicken wings from the Chinese restaurant. So you better do what the hell you told us to do. In the next election, we will vote your ass right back out. See, the reason black people are taken for granted, because you're the only constituency in America who doesn't vote as a team. Irish vote as a team. European Jews vote as a team. Mexicans vote as a team. Arabs vote as a team. And black people vote as individuals. And as long as you vote as individuals, you will be ignored, rejected, and laughed at. You know what you are politically? A cheap prostitute. You don't even have to pay. They come and get your vote every 4 years, send you away, and then 4 years later, they go find some Negro to scare you enough. Notice how black people are motivated to vote through fear. Everybody else is motivated to vote through gains. Jews don't vote because they're scared. Jews vote because somebody told them they're going to promise them something. Arabs vote because somebody said they're going to promise them something. Homosexuals vote because somebody said they're going to promise them something. Black people vote because some Negro paid by the Democrats made them so scared that if you don't vote for Hillary, you won't get nothing. And then you say, but Trump, Hillary ain't gonna give me nothing. Trump ain't giving me. I know, but at least it's the lesser of the 2 evils. What the hell is the lesser of the 2 evils? It can't get no worse than Barack Obama. Don't get quiet now. Don't get quiet now. You Negroes love Obama. I keep asking my Obama maniacs one question. I ain't got an answer yet. One question. Can you name one thing? One thing Barack Obama did exclusively for blacks? I can name 3 things he did for homosexuals. I can name 2 things he did for white women. I can name 3 things he did for illegal immigrants. I can't name 1 thing he did for blacks. Because you Negroes are cheap. You have this thing where if he looks like me, he's automatically for me. Right. Wrong. Cory Booker ain't got no black agenda. Kamala Harris is married to a damn Neanderthal. You know she ain't got no black agenda. They gonna be Barack Obama 2.0 on your ass. And the black feminists think you're gonna win something. Oh, we have a woman now. That woman is gonna destroy the black family so much you won't even have a man to date no matter what he is when she gets finished. She can't stand black males. And black woman, I want y'all to stop dating outside your race. It's nasty. You don't let no devil climb up into God's heaven and release all his little demons inside of your heaven. That's nasty. That's funky. You let that white man, and now you got all them crackers swimming in you. Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, the Roman Catholic priests, they all swimming. I want a black egg. That's nasty. I can't even date black women who ever let someone else do that. Word. You don't disrespect your womb like that. Honor your womb. See, if black women knew it, y'all could make black men do whatever y'all want. For the community I'm talking about. We could build schools, churches, hospitals, banks, factories, shipping lines, independent communities. We could turn the Bronx, what's the bougiest suburb in New York City? Where the bougies live?
Riverdale.
River Hill?
Riverdale.
Scottsdale, Neanderthal Dale, Chicken Wing Dale. Black men will turn the Bronx into Riverdale in 24 hours if black women would just harness the power of your heavens. If you stop allowing us to go to heaven, brothers will go to work right now. We won't even sleep for a week. Come on, brother, lunch break. Damn that, bro. I gotta finish this hospital. Heaven ain't open until we create something. Problem with black women, y'all giving out rewards that wasn't even earned yet. Make us earn it. Know your value. And black man, if you want more than one woman, that's fine, but make sure the first woman is allowed to choose freely. Stop manipulating sisters into polygamy. Okay? That's not polygamy. That's monogamy. Okay? Okay? And unconsensual polygamy is monogamy. If you want to be polygamous, there's women who don't mind being polygamous. Right. But don't manipulate sisters who don't want to be polygamous. And black woman, for those of y'all sending resumes into the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, we want you there. But you got to be natural when you show up for work. Well, you don't have to be natural now. You have time to let the new growth come back. See, I'm a barber. I cut hair. I know all about new growth. I've been cutting my own hair since 15. Went to a little military school up in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. They taught us how to cut hair. We had to cut the little boy's hair, cut the white boy's hair. I know how to cut every kind of hair there is. So I know what happens when the girls would come into the cosmetic shop, beauty shop, and they had them craters on their scalps. We got black women with scalp damage. And black man, if your woman got scalp damage, don't make her hide it. Make her treat it so she can get rid of it. See, black women want to hide all the scalps and the ringworm and dandruff. No. Make her brush it on up. Bring that dandruff out. Introduce it to the world. And see, this is what scares most black women. Most of y'all think that you're going to look ugly if you go bald and start fresh. You don't understand. Did y'all see Sanaa Lathan when she cut her hair off in that movie? You saw how she was already fine. But when she cut that hair off, her nose stood out even better for me. And her lips was even more voluptuous. And them high cheekbones just raised on up for her, brother. So black woman, if you got to start fresh with a little Caesar like mine, go ahead and do it because y'all beautiful. There's nothing worse than a black woman covering her whole face up with fake hair. Some of y'all only leave a half of the eyeball so y'all can walk. Y'all saw that shit. That she got a half eye but a whole face. Hair. That means you're ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
That means you got low self-esteem. I'm a psychologist, baby. You can't lie to me. A woman with her hair hanging in front of her face all day long is ashamed of what she looked at. Black man, make her take it back. Take it back. And guess what, black woman? I'm giving out free Caesars for black women at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Camp. All you got to do is walk. I'm going to have a Caesar chair. You just sit. And I'm going to come with the clippers and Caesar you fresh and kiss it. Black man, that's all you got to do. Put some hot shea butter on her bald head and kiss it. And talk to them roots. Sing to them roots. Play some jazz to them roots. And them roots come up dancing. And before you know it, all the bald spots be going. Lord, hallelujah.
Well.
Brothers and sisters, the black bourgeoisie is only second to white supremacy for being a problem in the Bronx. The black bourgeoisie was created after they killed Dr. King. So in the 1970s, they took all the businesses and the industrial programs out of the black community. 1980, the CIA dropped off crack. Black men either had to smoke it or sell it to deal with the fact that they could no longer get a job, because in the 70s, they took all the industrial building trade programs out the high school. 1990s, Bill Clinton crime bill, 3 strikes and you out, mandatory minimum sentencing for nonviolent drug offenses, welfare reform, and child support court, where they would criminalize child support. Year 2000, George W. Bush, faith-based initiative. He gonna pay the churches to not fight for black folks. Have you noticed none of the major black churches in New York City are involved in any major fight to help black folks? Can you name a church fighting for better schools? Can you name a church fighting to change the prison laws? Can you name a church fighting for unemployment? Can you name a church fighting against police genocide? What happened to the black church? They now qualify for grants, baby. They get after school funding and single mama funding and drug addict rehab funding and clean up the block funding. And all they got to do to get that money from the white man is to stay out of political struggles. And then 2010, Barack Obama. Obama was put in office to do 2 things. Keep black people quiet long enough to take everything our ancestors fought for and give it to white women and gays. Barack Obama was put in office to keep black people quiet enough for long enough for the new white supremacy to reorganize, rearm, and re-empower itself. We are back in the 60s, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves. Because black people have this thing where you have to like people in order to vote for them. You see, you liked Obama personally, so you voted. You liked Bill Clinton personally. He played the saxophone, smoked some weed, had a little whiskey on the side. And because you gotta like people to get your vote, you'll never get what you want. White folks don't come to voting because they like people. White folks will vote for you and hate you. What are you going to do for my community? That's it. Oh, I like Obama. He's so sexy. You see his wife, Michelle? She could dress her ass off. What the hell that got to do with you? And now they're going to give you, this next election going to be crazy. You got Kamala, so they got a black man, black woman. They got a gay candidate. They got a transsexual. What else they got? They got a gay, they got a transsexual, black man. This shit gonna be crazy. See, I don't know who they're gonna choose yet. I'm studying it. It's kind of tough because a part of me says if they put Kamala in, they can really empower the black feminists to finish exterminating the black males. They put Cory Booker in, it'll look like he represents black men like Barack Obama while he does nothing for him. But if you give us a gay White House, then you can have all the black kids in New York City looking up to gay couples. So it's going to be real interesting to see. I don't think they're going to go with the gay because most of the world does not support LGBT. I don't know if y'all know this. Most countries are not pro-LGBT. So if you put an LGBT president, fundamentalist Christian in Muslim countries, are they really going to be bothered with that person? So the white power structure has a lot to think about. I don't know who they're going to go with. Corey might be the safest. I think Kamala might be safe too. But then I heard Billary is coming back for a third run. You know Billary. Half Bill, half Hillary. And to be honest with you, I think Hillary Clinton would be the worst one. Can you imagine her in Africa? Because you know, black men, we love white girls. So can you imagine her flirting her way through Africa with that old flat butt, getting free gas and oil, diamonds and coltan, flirting with all the African presidents, walking out with everything they got? She'd be worse than the damn Chinese in Africa. I don't want Hillary in, because she'll flirt her way right through Africa and get everything she wants. With that being said, I want to start to wrap this up because I want to take some questions. I know some of you guys got some questions about the school. I'm only going to take 10 because I got a lot of books to sign tonight and a lot of pictures to take. Okay? But I do want to say this. Beware of the black bourgeoisie. There's 5 families in the black bourgeoisie. You have the economic bourgeois in New York. These are black people with a lot of money, but they don't use it to help black people. They'll fund Hillary Clinton's campaign. They'll fund Kamala, they'll fund Corey, but they won't fund you. And then you have the entertainment bourgeois. These are black people in New York with magazines, newspapers, websites, TV stations, and they want to talk about the NBA, the lottery, who got shot at the gas station last night. They don't want to talk about political economy of the black community. They want to talk about police genocide. They want to talk about redistribution of the wealth. They just want to entertain you to death. And then you have the higher education bourgeois. These are Negroes who use scholarship to protect white power. So if you ask them, why are black kids struggling in New York? They say black kids are struggling in New York because black boys, their pants are sagging, they listen to too much rap, the mom ain't married, the daddy in jail. That's a damn lie. The reason black boys ain't learning in New York is because you got white women in charge of the education.
That's right.
Listen to me. Your children will never learn as long as the oppressor is responsible for their success. White women are not natural stakeholders in the success of black boys. They are not natural stakeholders in the success of black boys. So why are we so comfortable letting white women teach our kids? All they teach them is to love white folks. Do you know because you have to work so many jobs, your son is around his white teacher more than his black mother? So he's beginning to love the image of the white woman. He's beginning to like, not sexually, but psychologically. She becomes his academic mother. And if she's good enough to be my academic mother, why can't she be good enough to be my wife? And if my mother spends most of her extra money trying to look like a white girl anyway, when I'm old enough, why not just marry the real thing instead of the bootleg? We got to be careful of the messages we send our children. Black men, we got to do a better job of showing little black girls that we love black women. Because the average little black girl has never seen a black man be as intimate with a black woman as Kanye is with Kim. Black women, have you noticed when a black man is with a white woman, he's extremely intimate with that woman in public, holding her hand, kissing her, hugging her? You never see a black, well, excuse me, you see some brothers like that, but a lot of brothers don't show public intimacy with their women. And brothers, our daughters need to start seeing it because they ask me in the schools, Dr. Johnson, why don't black men like us? Third graders. Why do you say that? Because I noticed that most successful black men either get a white woman or a woman who looks as close to white as possible. Racially ambiguous women. Black men love a racially ambiguous woman. She got the body of a black girl, but she might talk with a little bit of accent. Her hair might be black and curly like she's Greek. She might dress like she's East Indian. And the next thing you know, you're like, I don't know what she is. And that's just how he wanted. He don't want you to know what she is. We have to stop the hate. We got to stop the light skin and the dark skin supremacy.
That's right.
Okay, that's a big problem in our community. You got Negroes say, I only like light-skinned girls. I heard a black woman the other day say, I don't date no man unless he chocolate, black, and nappy. That's not fair. What if your soulmate ain't chocolate? What if your soulmate ain't light-skinned? What if your soulmate ain't voluptuous? What if your soulmate is a full-figured woman who looks nothing like the one you want? Black woman, what if your soulmate is a full-figured man who looks nothing like what you want? You don't know what the universe got in store with you. How you going to be so certain about what you will date and won't date until you rub up against something you never thought you would have liked in your life and you fall head over heels for that person? Be open to what the universe sends you. Be open to it. And then, brothers and sisters, the worst bourgeoisie of them all, after you deal with economic bourgeois and money bourgeois and media bourgeois, you also got status bourgeois. These are Negroes in the Bronx who got a whole bunch of business cards with big titles that have no vowels. This is a Negro who say, I'm the senior assistant vice undersecretary, not yet appointed deputy side minister. You ever see a Negro giving you his business card? Talking about, I'm the state rep community liaison for neighborhood improvements. And you say, brother, we trying to get a community park for the kids. That's not under my office. Brother, we trying to get a swimming pool. That's not under my office. Brother, we trying to get rid of a Chinese chicken wing drink. That's not under my office. But you gave me a business card that says you're the senior assistant deputy vice under administrator for block cleanups. So why you can't help me? Beware of Negroes with titles. Their job is to make you think change is coming and it never comes. Does anybody know why democracy was invented? Why is voting so important to the white man? Why does he go all around the world trying to make it safe for democracy? He's in Africa trying to make it safe for democracy. He's in Europe. Why is democracy so important to the white man? If the white man is all about power, why does he want you voting? Because voting doesn't change anything. If it did, it will be illegal. You vote the rest of your life. Nothing will change because of a vote. Everything we got through what? Armed street protesting. You got out of slavery because you fought for it. You got out of Jim Crow because you fought for it. You got the 13th Amendment because you fought for it. You got the 14th Amendment because you fought for it. You got the 15th Amendment because you fought for it. And anything else you get, you're going to fight for it. Right. No vote you cast will ever change your reality. Politics is a game you play on the powerless, making them think they don't have to shed blood to get free. Why do you think they need you to get out and vote every election day? Come vote. You say, I ain't got no choices. It don't matter. Your ancestors died. Vote. No, they didn't. Dr. King didn't die so I can vote. Voting Rights Act was passed before he died. Dr. King and the rest of our ancestors didn't die for us to vote. They died for freedom. Voting was the strategy in their lifetime that they thought would most likely deliver the freedom. But you're now 50 years after that. And you now have the foresight and hindsight to see voting ain't going to change. So although it may have worked in the 60s, it's not going to work today. We got to come up with a new strategy. And loving your enemy ain't one of them. Had a Negro tell me he ain't no slave. Well, why you still got white Jesus in the black house? At least 20% of you in here have a white Jesus at home. The reason you cannot raise black children on a white Jesus is because black children will automatically generalize black Jesus white Jesus to all white people. If God is white and God is all powerful, that's why the police are white. That's why the judges are white. That's why the president is white. That's why people who own the money is white. That's why the banks are white. Because if God is white, all white men must be godly. In other words, public school didn't teach your child to worship white people. They didn't learn that in a white public school. They learned it in a black Sunday school. Yep. Brothers and sisters, it's been 400 years. This August the 21st, we begin our 5th century in America. And we ain't doing good. We got to turn the corner and change the page. Let's look at these past 4 centuries. The 17th century, when we first got here as enslaved cargo, was a century of trauma and shock. We tried to make sense of the world we were in. 18th century was a period of fighting for our humanity. Some of you forget. Before we could fight to be free, we had to fight to be people. Did you forget that?
That's right.
Before we could fight to be free, we had to fight to be people because the white man said that we were animals. We had to fight to prove we were people, and that's why some of us still act like animals.
That's right.
The 19th century was what? Our greatest century. That was a century of struggle. I would argue, like the great Dr. John Henry Clark argued, that the 19th century, from 1800 to 1899, was the greatest century black people ever had in this country. Excuse me, in the world after our fall from African greatness. The 1800s, you got Nat Turner, Gabriel Prosser, Denmark Vesey, the birth of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the birth of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You got out the Civil War, you had the Haitian Revolution, you had Shaka Zulu, you had Meaningless II. Do you realize your greatest period was 1800 to 1899? You did more in that 100 years than you did the other 300 combined. And then you had the 20th century, the one we just left 19 years ago. We started off real good, didn't we? We came into the 1900s fighting. Garvey, Nation of Islam, Dr. King, Civil Rights Bill, Voting Rights Act, Citizens, Freedom Riders, and then all of a sudden he dropped that napalm bomb with that crack in the 1980s. See, most of what we still suffer from as black people today is a direct result of the side effects of the crack epidemic. Why we got so many teenage black mothers? Fathers was in jail for selling it or out of the house for using it. The welfare state grew up in response to the crack epidemic. When they started locking up black men, they said, what can we do to make sure these black women don't fight for their men? What can we do to make sure black women don't fight for their men? We're going to give them housing. We're going to give them health care. We're going to give them food stamps. We're going to give them Section 8. We're going to give them aid to families with dependent children. Black women, I'm not knocking nobody here. You're not wrong for getting it, black women. I want to be clear. You're taking care of your children. I'm simply saying that the white man introducing the welfare state wasn't because they cared about you. It was to make sure once the black man got out of jail, you would no longer need him. You would consider him irrelevant. Oh yes. And before I close on Willie Lynch tonight, I want to go back to ADHD for a minute. Because a lot of you have your sons on Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Vyvanse, Circler, and the list goes on. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder came to us when, brothers and sisters? 1980. ADD, attention deficit, 1980. Was that a coincidence? Nope. Same year the CIA dropped off crack, the public schools dropped off ADD. But because there's no drug that can make your child pay attention, because there's no drug that can make your child pay attention, in 1987, ADD became ADHD. So now when your child gets evaluated, there is no more ADD. Even if he's not hyper, they will say he's hyper, so they can prescribe the medicine. And how much money do the drug companies make off the medicine? $30 billion a year, right here on Wall Street. Right here on Wall Street, they publicly trade all the drugs they give your son. and you sign for it. No more drugs. Do you know what ADHD really stands for? ADHD really stands for Ain't No Daddy at Home Disorder. ADHD. You give a boy a daddy, you ain't got no more discipline problems if the father is active. Because some of y'all are going to say, well, my son's father in the house, he still got ADHD. Okay, then we call that ain't no discipline at home disorder. Well, he got his daddy and he got discipline. Well, then we call it artificial diet at home disorder. Too much sugar, too much caffeine, too much high fructose corn syrup. And then you say, well, we vegans in the daddy at home and we got discipline. Well, guess what? I know what it is now. Attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction. Your child comes to school acting up because mommy and daddy fighting at home. Or daddy put mommy out. Or daddy and mom going through something. Or maybe the child lost somebody they love. Grandma died and grandma raised them, so now he's going to school, he hyper, he inattentive, because children don't talk out their problems. Children act out their problems. Don't tell me no third grader got ADHD. He's a regular boy. He got something on his mind. Figure out what's on his mind, and we deal with the ADHD. Stop being so quick to grab for the medication. Because nobody's going to tell you that these drugs kill brain cells. Nobody's going to tell you that these drugs have a lot of estrogen in them that feminizes the boy's body. Nobody tell you that these drugs can cause kidney problems, liver problems, heart problems, blood cancer, stroke, heart attack. It can also affect your son's growth and his brain growth, and it causes early balding as well. And the most important side effect of these drugs, it can affect his ability to have children later on in life. So, with that being said, let me give you my number 10, and then we're going to do Willie Lynch and wrap it up. Number 10, parents, is what? If you don't believe in drugs for kids, you don't believe in ADHD evaluations. If you don't believe in drugs for kids, you don't believe in ADHD evaluations. What do you mean, Dr. Umar? I mean, the only solution for ADHD is what? Medication. So when the school says, can you get him tested? You should say what? No. Hell no. Because if you let them label your boy and you don't give him the drugs, the school's going to call a social worker, and the social worker going to threaten to take your kids if you don't put them on a kitty crack. Can somebody answer me a question? Why is it so many black men in New York are in jail for selling drugs, but yet they give the same drug to his son so he can learn from white girls? If drugs are bad for adults, ain't they bad for kids too? So why is it you go to jail for 5 ounces of crack, but they'll give Raheem 5 ounces of crack every single day so he can sit still long enough to learn about Christopher Columbus? At the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, there will be no drugs. I don't need them. Because the school is going to be filled with love. Where there's love, there's no need for no drugs. Somebody asked me, they said, what you going to do about all the kids who got learning problems and behavior problems? I said, that's easy. Guess what I'm going to do for all my learning disabled and ADHD babies? I'm going to have an assembly just like this. All the slow kids and crazy kids and drug babies. And I'm going to say, do y'all know why y'all here? They're going to say no. I'm going to say, y'all here because all y'all, your parents think you slow. And you need special help. And you take Ritalin and Adderall and you got IEPs, and some of y'all been in special ed since you was born. So guess what I'm going to do for y'all? Since y'all need extra help and we don't have a special ed program, we're going to give you extra help. That means you come to school on Saturday and Sunday. You come to school every damn day. Every day. Every MFing day you are here. Okay? And you will be in school 7 days a week until you no longer have a problem reading, counting, sitting still, or controlling your behavior. How much y'all want to bet after that assembly? Who wants to bet me after that assembly, within 2 weeks after that assembly, I promise you, I will have no ADHD kids, I will have no reading disabilities, and I will have no math disabilities. Your child can learn. He's just lazy. And what he's doing to you, he won't get away with it with me. Somebody asked me, Dr. Umar, the first school is in Delaware. What is that going to do for me in the Bronx? Well, number one, it's only the first school, not the last. But not only that, once we open up, some of y'all might decide to move on down to Delaware. It's cheaper. Ain't no state tax. Cost of living is much better than New York City. But not only that, brothers and sisters, there's a lot of land around the school. We don't own it, but we can buy it. So I'm looking into buying a big parcel of land and building a dormitory right there. So your children will be able to come and be a residential student at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. If you want to work at the school, send me your resume. fdmgresumes@gmail.com. But I don't just need you for FDMG. I need you for the National Independent Black Parent Association. I need you to help us fight against racism in Brooklyn schools. Help us fight against racism in Harlem schools, in Bronx schools, in Queens schools. If any of you care enough about our parents and our children to join the National Independent Black Parent Association, I will be having a training next month. I don't know the location or the date yet, but it will be within driving distance. It's either going to be in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, or Connecticut. And I want you to come so I can train you personally. I'm the trainer. So you can come back to the Bronx in your respective city and start organizing parents in 6 areas. What's the first area? Special ed. Too many black kids being put in special ed who don't need it. And it doesn't make sense because most schools in New York get Title I money. Title I money is for reading and math. If you get the extra money to make sure the black kids know how to read, what the hell are they doing in special ed in the first place? So we need some of y'all to fight for our kids, to keep them out of special ed and to get them out of special ed. And for the ones who need it, we do have some kids who need special ed. And they're not getting a good service. And we need to make sure they get a good service. So that's the special ed committee. And then there will be a school discipline committee. How many black kids were suspended out of Bronx schools last year? How many black kids were expelled out of Bronx schools last year? How many black kids were transferred to a discipline school out of Bronx schools last year? And why the hell don't you know that? The discipline committee will fight to keep our kids in school because they are criminalizing black boys. Remember this, there's no such thing as a dropout rate. There's only a such thing as a push out rate. Black kids are pushed out of school because of how they are treated. And then we will have a school finance committee to find out what they're doing with your tax dollars. Raise your hand if you ever had a contract with New York City public schools that was worth $500,000 or greater. Not a single hand goes up in this room. But there's white folks and people of other cultures who are getting rich off of making contracts with the school district. They clean the bathrooms. They wash the windows. They drive the buses. They bring in the school lunch. They supply the books. All of this is on a contract. Why aren't no black people getting the contract to install the security cameras? Why aren't no black people getting the contracts to network all the computers? Why aren't black people getting the contracts to provide the security? Brothers and sisters, if one of y'all had the contract to clean the school bathrooms in the Bronx, you could hire 100 people for a whole year and keep a lot of people out of jail. We got to fight for our share of the contracts. And then there will be a school policy committee to fight for changes in the schools that negatively affect our kids. How many of y'all got kids that you want to put in a better school, but you can't because they don't live in the right zip code? That's not a state law. That's a New York City policy. Policies are not laws. Policies are not laws. Policies are not laws. Policies are local operating procedure, and they can be changed. Do you know what would happen if all 500 of you showed up at the next Bronx Public School Board meeting?
Come on now.
White folks would lose their mind. They would say, you see all them Negroes in here? Y'all never go to the school board meeting. And it's at the school board meeting when they decide who gets the money. Y'all have to go to the school board meetings. And then there will be a social committee to help our parents get their kids back. Because the latest hustle in New York is to take your kids away from you. and serve them up to the foster care system. We got too many black kids being taken from parents for frivolous reasons. And guess what? The social worker is given the power of a judge. The social worker, one person decides if you are an unfit mother. And when they take your kids, you don't even have a right of due process. You can't even challenge the decision. You can try to get them back, but you can't challenge it when they take them in the first place. And then we need a parent advocacy committee. I need some of you who are not scared of white folks. Listen. If she got to go to the school about her child, he gonna go with her. If he got to go to school about his child, she gonna go with him. We got to have parent advocates who know the law. So when they say, can we test? No, you cannot. Y'all never educated this boy. Yes, he reads on the second grade level as a fourth grader, but last year he was suspended 38 days. How can he learn how to read when he was suspended the equivalent of 3 months of school? There's only 5 weeks in the school week, 5 days. 20 days is a month. 38 days is almost 2 months, excuse me. They're talking about our kids are behind academically, but y'all keep putting them out the class. If they say we need him on drugs or he can't come back to school, you got to be able to say that. Nobody can decide if a child takes drugs except the parent. Stop letting the schools make you get your child put on drugs. They can't do that. A school is not allowed to tell a parent to put the child on medicine.
Yeah, say it
And
again.
the next time a school tells you that, write a letter to the superintendent, write a letter to the state secretary of education, and write a letter to the United States Department of Civil Rights, Department of Education, and tell them that there's a school in the Bronx that is harassing parents into putting their children on medication. As I close, I want to tell y'all a little story. When Willie Lynch came to America, Willie Lynch came to teach 3 things. Now, we know Willie Lynch may have never existed, and that doesn't matter, but the Willie Lynch story was true. The first thing Willie Lynch told the slave masters was to do what? Take the language from the slaves. If you let them speak their indigenous tongue, they will never forget that they were a people before they found you. This is why it's so important for us to teach African language at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. And if any of you here know of any African languages well enough to teach it, please send in a resume. I want every child to speak at least 2 African languages, not just for culture, but also for intelligence. The research says that bilingual children seem to be able to access another part of the brain that other children cannot access. So being bilingual automatically raises your intellectual potential. That's why we want them to be bilingual. But see, Willie Lynch told the slave masters to teach us English so we could forget African language. But the slave master never taught us English. It was illegal for you to learn. So you never learned how to talk proper English. Even now, most of us, we might know proper English on paper, but we can't talk it because your African tongue is still in your mouth because the slave master never took it from you. He didn't let you learn English, so he hurt himself because now you still speak African language. Everybody in here speaks African language. You don't speak English. You use English words. You use English words, but you speak an African language. Your syntax, your sentence structure, your morphology, your phonology is totally African. You speak just like somebody from Nigeria. You just use different vocabulary. You speak just like somebody from Senegal. You just use different vocabulary. You speak just like somebody from Ghana, but you use different vocabulary. And please don't confuse vocabulary with language. Because if vocabulary was the sum total of language, English couldn't be a language. Because more than 50% of the words in the English vernacular don't come from English culture. Now, some of y'all might have trouble understanding what I'm saying. Y'all think I'm trying to endorse Ebonics, so let me make it real simple. There's 3 big differences between white language and African language. Number 1, white language is proliferated with words that end with strong consonants. African language proliferates with words that are rhythmic and end in vowels. That's why most of our sisters, your names end with a what? Hey, Rashida. My daughter, Anissa. Hanifa. What's the other language we got? Names we got. Give me some African names. Makeda. Who else? Anaya. Jahari. A-E-I-O-U. About.
Akila.
Right. Keita. Shanae. Look. Listen. Check it out. When white people talk, their language is all about enunciating the words. So they will say, we are with Jane and Robert Thompson. In order to be articulate in European tongue, you have to enunciate the words. You must cut off Jane from Thompson. African language is rhythmic. Our language is like our culture, rhythmic, and it is smooth. It is all about melody. So we don't say, I'm getting ready to have supper. In the Bronx, we say, I'm getting ready. I'm fixing to get something to eat. You see how articulate that was? It was like one word. That's how you talk. That's how I talk. That's how Nigerians talk. That's how Congolese talk. That's how South Africans talk. You don't speak English, you speak African tongue. So, let me give you another difference. White people believe in making sure when you speak, people understand what you say. White people will say, did you hear what I just said? Did you understand what just came out of my mouth? Did you make sense of what you read? White culture is about understanding what they said, not black people. Black people is all about understanding what you meant by what your ass said. Are y'all following me? We don't care what you said. In fact, we even got to look at your ass when you're talking. We can feel if this is hate energy. You feel me? Or if it's love. So when somebody say, girl, that's a bad outfit you got on. Then you hear me, I just gave you a comment. Oh, I heard you. But let me tell you what your ass meant. You meant to say, you don't know why I came out the house with this on. Y'all see that? See, for white people, it's about whether you understand us. Black people, we don't deal in understanding. For black people, we don't care whether you understood us. The most important thing in African communication is not if you understood it, but it's whether or not you can feel me. Are y'all following me? When you really talking to somebody, you really emotional, do you say, did you understand? No. You say, do you feel me? Do you feel my spirit? Right. Because for African people, it's not about the communication, it's about the vibration.
Vibration.
We are vibrational.
Yep.
This is part of the reason why we are so mentally unhealthy in a white culture based on lies and deception. Because you'll go to court and you know the judge lying. You know the prosecutor lying. You know the public pretender lying. Everybody lying. And they're telling you the reason you got convicted is because the preponderance of the evidence suggests that you did this crime. You say, that's not it. The reason I got convicted because I'm black. And they're going to say, well, how do you know that? Because I can feel you crackers' energy. Black woman, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like when you meet a brother and he kicking game and you like the game is good. He's smooth. But I can feel his ass just wants some cookies. Y'all see that? We on another level. We don't deal in what you said. We dealt in what we felt. Stop giving up your Africanisms for white folks. We are not them and they are not us. We are 100% human. We are 100% human. We are 100% human. There is no Neanderthal in you except for the fact that some of you are injecting your divine power into your oppressor's survival. I don't believe we all came from the same ancestor. White folks came from a different ancestor. But the reason it looks like we came from the same ancestor is because we had some ancestors who cohabitated with white folks and produced. We have to stay amongst ourselves. Even the Bible says, you don't mix your seed outside of that house. Your DNA is too divine to be shared. Your melanin is more valuable than gold, platinum, and diamonds put together. Stop giving it away so cheaply. The second thing Willie Lynch said is what? You got to introduce petty differences into black people. Put the light-skinned blacks against the dark-skinned blacks. Put the Bronx against Harlem. Put Queens against Brooklyn. Put Long Island against Staten Island. Put the Muslims against the Christians. Put those Africans from Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Dominican Republic who speak Spanish against the ones who speak English. Put the ones who speak Portuguese against the ones who speak the Queen's English. Isn't it ironic that Cuba, my great-grandfather's land, was the most thoroughly organized Marcus Garvey island in the world? You go to Cuba today, and I was there last year when I got initiated into E5. You got blue, black, purple Cubans talking about they're not African. Do you not know there's Puerto Ricans darker than any African? And there's Africans lighter than any Puerto Rican? The only difference between a Puerto Rican and the African American is they dropped our ancestors off in those islands and taught them Spanish and broke yours here and taught you English. We are the same people. And what's the last thing Willie Lynch said? He said, you got to destroy the black woman's trust in the black man. He said, find you the biggest, meanest slave buck you can find. Line up all your slave wenches and all your nigger children. Take that big black man out front, beat him, break him down, take his will, crush him, embarrass him, annihilate him in front of all the black women and all the black Negro babies. If you do this, the love that the black woman had for the black man will now become contempt. The love that the black woman once had for the black man will now become anger. The awe that she once felt, the reverence she once felt for the black man now becomes disgust. Black woman, I want y'all to listen to me. We have not done y'all right. And I apologize to every black woman in here on behalf of every black man, any of my brothers that have ever hurt you. I'm sorry for them, sister. But please don't take it out on all of us, because you are all I got. And I am all you got. This is not about the black man versus the black woman. This is about the black man and the black woman versus everybody else. We stand together, or not at all. And brothers and sisters, as we close, I have no problem with you going to church. Most of my Pan-African forefathers were Christian pastors. But I do want to be clear. Any religion that tells you you got to die to go to heaven is a religion you do not need. The white man got his heaven now, and I want mine. The Chinese got his heaven now, and I want mine. The Arab got his heaven now, and I want mine. Well, I'm going to die trying. Do you know why God put us here? God put us on earth to create a heaven on earth. You were put here to make a heaven. But because you forgot who you were, you allowed your understudies, the Neanderthals, to come and take everything from you. And you crying to God to give it back, but God didn't take it from you. You allowed them. So Jesus ain't coming to get the white man off your back. You're going to have to do that yourself. I want to close with a story. And I'm going to take 5 questions. We'll do 10. Brother Jerry, let me get a cup of that iced tea right there. What's that? No, right there. I need that ginger, Baba. I like Bronx water. Bronx River Punch. Listen, I want y'all to hear this story really well as I close, because this is important. At the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, we'll teach your sons this. And then we open up the schools for the girls, because we will get to the girls, y'all. Ladies, we will get to the girls. We're just starting with the boys, because the war against the boys is 50 times worse.
Go. Ladies and go.
Once upon a time, God created a group of people called sun people. They lived under the sun. They lived in a perpetual heaven on earth. Nobody stole because it was enough to go around. Nobody put their parents in old folks' homes because we valued the elders too much. Nobody had to be hungry because the food grew on the trees. And if there was not enough food on the trees, neighbors would simply make sure that everybody ate. It was all for one and one for all. The sun was considered the greatest symbol of God because just as nothing can exist without God, nothing can live without the sun. The sun people didn't worship the sun. They simply honored God by acknowledging the sun. They had trees for oxygen and fruit. They had fish so that they could eat. They had all the animals for all the barbecue and chicken wings they wanted. They had all the fur for all the designer clothes that they wanted. Nobody had doors on their houses because nobody stole. There was no prison because nobody broke the law. Because criminals are not born, they're made by societies that don't look out for everybody. These sun people lived in heaven. And then one day, God created ice people. These people lived in the ice. They lived under the ice that is much colder than any ice you've seen in your life. This was the European Ice Age. They had no sun. There was no trees with fruit. There was no fish in the water because it was all ice, too cold for anything to live. They didn't have goats and camels and skunks and squirrels because it was too cold. So they had to eat insects, worms, flies. The only warm drink was the blood from dead carcass. They even ate each other's flesh because it was the only thing around to eat. These ice people lived in caves. And they wasn't benevolent, compassionate, sympathetic, and loving. Those were the sun people. The ice people were conniving, strategic, manipulative, and dominating. They never understood the concept of sharing because there was never enough to be shared. And because they were so traumatized by the ice people, whenever they got something, they wanted it all. They just didn't want some diamonds, enough of them. They wanted all the diamonds. They didn't want some fruit, just enough of them. They needed all the fruit. They didn't want some animals just for them. They wanted all the animals. And why do they always need to control every single thing? Because the ice traumatized them so much that they're so afraid that they'll go back to those days. And the only way they can feel comfortable is to control absolutely everything. And guess what? Because the ice did not bless the Iceman, he learned to disrespect Mother Nature. The sun people love Mother Nature. They honor Mother Nature. They praise Mother Nature. They respect the divinity of water, the divinity of soil, the divinity of plants, the divinity of animals, the divinity of the rain, the divinity of thunder. That's the sun people. We live in harmony with nature. Ice people can't stand nature. They don't want to live in harmony with nature. They want to dominate it. If it's winter, they want to turn it into summer. If it's spring, they want to turn it into fall. If there's regular crops for the food to grow, they won't let the regular crops grow. They'll come up with their own crops. We call it GMO. We already got animals. They don't want those animals. They want to crossbreed the monkey with the giraffe. They want to crossbreed the house dog with the rat. They want to crossbreed this with that. One day the ice people came out of the land of the ice and they came down into the land of the sun. And they walked in and said, can you believe this? While we were up in the ice struggling, look at these people. They got bling bling on, barbecue wings, jerk chicken, diamonds. And when our grandmothers saw the ice women, we did not mistreat them, which may have been a mistake. We took them in. And when the black woman saw the white woman, she said, come here, cave woman. First, what we gonna do, we gonna civilize your ass. We gonna give you a nice hot ass bath and rub some shea butter on them ashy ass ankles. And then I'm gonna get some shavers and we're gonna shave that nasty, hairy back of yours. And you told her how to make clothes. And you told her what a brow was. And you told her what to do at certain times in the month. And then a black man took the white man and told him how to hunt, how to be a father, how to run his family, how to cook, how to clean. And while we was helping the ice people become civilized, the ice people was plotting to take our civilization. That's it. And they took it. And they still got it. And they're going to keep it until you decide to take it back. The white man is here to stay unless you do something about it. And don't tell me we cannot get out of this situation, because I remember once upon a time there was a place called Britain that was considered the most backward nation in the world. They were dominated by the Germans. But yet that same Britain ended up dominating 80% of the world, and it's the greatest superpower today. I remember one time there was a place called the 13 Colonies that became the United States of America that was the laughing stock of the world. I do know that once upon a time the Russians were laughed at. I do know once upon a time India was laughed at. I do know that everybody who runs the world now didn't run it 500 years ago. So if the white man can become great, why can't you become great a second time again?
Yes.
See, God is waiting on you to remember you are God.
Yes.
God is waiting on black people to take back the earth, because we are the only people in world history that ran the planet not with guns, not with laws, but with justice and love. And you're the only people who can give justice back to this planet. With that being said, I'm going to close with a quote from my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. My family was brought to America in 1701. A black man by the name of Bailey, stolen from West Africa. He was taken to Talbot County, Maryland. He married a black woman by the name of Selah, for whom my 7-year-old daughter is named. 1745, they had Grandma Jenny. 1774, Grandma Jenny had Grandma Betsy. This is 2 years before Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. Grandma Betsy married a free black man, Grandpa Isaac. They had 12 children. One daughter was named Harriet, another daughter was named Young Betsy after the mother. These two sisters was raped by the slave master who owned our family. As a result of that, Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader in American history. His name was Frederick Bailey. He ran away from slavery, changed his name. So in 1838, Frederick Bailey became Frederick Douglass. But my ancestor was born the next year, 1819. Stephen Henry Bailey, my 4 times great-grandfather. He wasn't lucky enough to run away. He stayed on the slave plantation right there. It's still there in Maryland now. Still there. He married a black woman on the same slave plantation, Grandma Caroline. Didn't learn how to read until 1909. Their firstborn son, George Washington Bailey, my 3 times great-grandfather, the nephew of Frederick Douglass. He marries Grandmama Annie. Grandmama Annie is the niece of Bishop Alexander Wayman of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. They had Grandma Caroline. She moves to Philadelphia. She has Grandma Vivian. She marries a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant, my great-grandfather Cicero. They have my grandmama Ida. She marries James Johnson. They have Jamal. He marries Barbara. And on the anniversary of the Nat Turner War, I'm born. Brothers and sisters, study your history. Study your ancestors. Know from whence you came. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess the faith of freedom and deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without flowing up the ground. They want rain but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean but they're scared of the awful war of the waters. He said, for 20 years I prayed on my knees to God for freedom, but the good Lord gave me no freedom until I got up off my knees and prayed with my feet. He said, a man may not get all he works for, but you will work for all you get. Right. He said, Mommy? What sense does it make to lift a man up if he's on his knees? Because if he ain't man enough to stand, soon when you let him go, his hand will smack against the curbstone. He said until a man is ready to stand, leave his ass down until he got sense enough to get up and fight for himself. Frederick Douglass said, a people who ain't got enough sense to fight for themselves have no right to be fought for by others. All the same. Marcus Messiah Garvey said, without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Yeah. Brothers and sisters, take out your cell phone. I want to make sure you have my phone number in case you want to go with me to Africa this summer. We're going to Africa last week of July, first week in August. I also have a trip to South Africa coming up. I also have a trip to Jamaica coming up. We're going to go to Marcus Garvey grave, Rastafari headquarters, Queen Mother Nanny's village, Bob Marley Museum. Cell number. Also, parents, if you ever need a one-on-one consultation with me, you need a one-on-one consultation with me, you can text me, you can schedule that. I do charge $75 for the one-on-one consultations, but we take as long as you need. Mommy. Send me all your paperwork. I'm gonna give you my fax number. I need to have the paperwork first. If you ain't got no paperwork, then what the hell am I gonna do with you? I need the paper. I need to see the eval. I need the letter from the principal. I need to see the IEP. The problem with black parents is y'all don't keep your paperwork together, and this is why y'all keep losing against the schools. If you got 4 kids, you got 4 notebooks. You got 2 kids, you got 2 notebooks. Everything goes in that notebook. Every report card, every interim report, every letter from the teacher, every test score. Make sure you keep the paperwork together, because a parent without paperwork is a parent who can easily be exploited. Phone number 215-989-9858. I repeat, 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858. Email address is my name, Dr. Umar Johnson at Yahoo. D-R-U-M-A-R Johnson. No periods, no spaces. Dr. Umar Johnson at yahoo.com. You have my cell, and you have my email. As part of Team Pan-African, I'm going to be organizing a Mid-Atlantic movement. The Mid-Atlantic movement will be 7 states: New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, and Washington, D.C. If you want to help me organize the black folks in your state, in your city, for political and economic empowerment and emancipation, make sure you get in contact with me. I want to come back to New York before the summer and host a meeting of the minds where I don't lecture, but where I moderate a conversation of us, with us, by us, for us, so we can move out with an action plan. If you want to be a part of that, make sure you get in contact with me. The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy will be the international headquarters for the Pan-African movement and the Black Liberation Front. It's a new century for a new movement. Brothers and sisters, I want to thank y'all for coming out tonight. Brooklyn, New York, Bronx, what up? Harlem, Jersey, Queens, Staten Island. This is what I want to do. Wait a minute before you leave, because you might be a winner tonight. Everybody? Already got these two. Yeah. I didn't even see y'all over there. Listen. If you came in with a printed receipt, we shook up the box, and if I call your name, you're going to come get your receipt. And you're going to go to my merchandise table back there. And you get 1 free of everything. Listen to what you get. You don't get 1 of every type of hat. Kill that. Okay? You get 1 hat, 1 hoodie, 1 book, 1 poster, 1 iron-on, 1 book bag. We have 6 or 7 items on my table. You get 1 of everything free. And then you want to go to my brother Johnny back there, 360 Books. Raise your hand, brother Johnny. He got some of the best black books you need. If you're looking for knowledge, go back there and support brother Johnny. Yes, sir, Baba. And he also takes credit card, as do I. So these are the winners for the night. And then I'm going to take about 5 questions, y'all, because of time. And then I'm going to sign the books and take the pictures. Have your books ready. Have your phones ready. Victor Simon. Where's Victor Simon at? Where's Victor Simon? Is that you? You sure? Here you go, Brother Vic. Let's go, Brother Vic. The next winner, Sister Lynette Harrigan. If she left, I got to pull again. Lynette Harrigan wrote out. Lynette Harrigan is gone.
Now he's going to get wind.
I got an African name, Sama Lutuli. Where you at, Sama Lutuli? Are you related to the great Lutulis of South Africa? Are you serious? That's your grandfather's people. Well, you know, I was at the house. I spoke there a couple years ago in South Africa. That's your great-grandfather, who was the mentor of Nelson Mandela, and one of the fathers of the African National Congress. Amandla, Awadu, Mabuye, the Africa, Mabuye. I love South Africa. Black Power Queen. That was not a coincidence. So now, 5 questions. Queen 1. Brother is 2.
Mostly ladies.
Queen is 3. Brother is 4. You 5, brother, with the B, yes. And sister, you 6. And that's going to be it. Who my 1? Who my 1? I'll repeat the question. Go right ahead. In the meantime, while I'm answering the question, this row right here, and you can come up to here, is all women in this line here, straight down. Over here is men, straight down. If you are a couple, you can choose either side. Please. Okay? Ladies line, men's line. Have your book out, your phone ready. Question number 1, where you at? We got a mic for? I'll repeat the question. Okay, go ahead. Give it a mic, Baba. Single line, single line, single line. Ladies, men. Go right ahead, Queen.
It's a general question. Would you
Sure.
be able to take my resume?
Yes, resumes. This is what you do. Right here. Give Brother Real all the resumes. If you brought your resume tonight, give it to Brother Real right here. We want them resumes. Team Pan-African, NIBPA, FDMG. Thank you, sister. Who's my number 2? Y'all stealing numbers already. Who's the brother right here?
Please ask a question. Please, right here, brother.
Right there, right there. No, you 5, black man. He's 2. You 5.
Okay.
Go right ahead, black man.
All right, how you doing, Dr.
All right. Thanks for coming out.
I'm very familiar with your position on LGBTQ.
Yes, sir.
And also the black bourgeoisie. I'm just curious what's your stance on the Jussie Smollett situation and also Steve Harvey and Monique interview.
Steve Harvey was cooning, but I do appreciate that he's willing to arrange the meeting for Monique. She made him man up on that show. She made him man up. As far as the Jussie Smollett situation, I'm still studying that. I ain't got a conclusion on that yet. But I do want to say this. Although I do not support LGBT, I love all black folks. You understand me? So I'm saying that to say that if you LGBT and you need my help for yourself or your child, you can call on your brother because I love all of us. I might not agree with you, but I still love you. Gay black men have one of the highest suicide rates in America. Gay black women have one of the highest depression rates. So I love my sisters and my brothers. If I can help you, you call on me. Just because we agree to disagree on that, don't mean I can't help. Who's my number 3? Beautiful.
Number 3. Hello, sir. Do you
How we
remember
doing?
me?
I remember that face.
Hey, it's your girl Naya A from South Florida.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yes.
So, okay, I just wanted to ask you real quick, brother. Are you available on March 5th? Because while we were here, I already have requests for you to do something in New York City. I'm not going to go into details.
York or New York?
New York. New York. Here, back in New York. You'll have to let me know. Hit me up. You already know what we do. And then number 2, South Florida desperately needs you on the Treasure Coast. They're probably watching now, but we're working on just, you know, what we were talking about from years ago. Are you taking a trip anytime soon to South Florida? And also let me know about March 5th. Thank you for being here.
Text me on the March 5th. South Florida, I just got a request from the African American Research Library in Broward County.
Okay. This is the Treasure Coast. We would like to work here.
You're a little deeper than that, right? We working on it.
All right.
I got it.
Thank you.
Who my number 4? I believe it was the queen. Oh, it was the brother. I'm sorry, right here.
It was the brother. Oh, just before we get to this next question, please do your very best to kind of like straighten up, clean up. Don't leave the garbage on the floor. You see any garbage on the floor, please pick it up and put it in the garbage cans. All right? Thank you. Number 4.
Go ahead, black man.
As black people, as right now, we circle our wagon, right? So we're circling our wagon. What do we do about all our brothers, all of us that have dual languages and dual loyalties that using it against us?
We got to get rid of the dual loyalties. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with being a Mason, an elk, a Greek.
And let's talk about race swap, like Latinos and all of that. So drug fascists that actually work against us.
An African Latino who accepts their African heritage.
All of them have, there's a lot of mulattoes, actually.
Okay, the biracials.
Yes.
They have, for me, I will accept biracial as African.
Okay,
I will accept.
Your loyalty.
Right, stay with me. Stay with me.
Yeah.
I will accept our Latino brothers and sisters within the movement if they practice race first, an unapologetically African platform. You understand? Which means they agree with everybody else. We don't date outside our race, we put race first. We ain't putting culture first, we ain't putting religion first, we ain't putting the Masonic Lodge first, we putting African people first. You understand? So whether they're Spanish-speaking African, whether they're biracial African, if they can practice race first, they are with me. The ones who can't, I want nothing to do with it. Barack Obama is biracial. Clarence Thomas is stone cold chocolate unmixed African, but they both coons, so I'll be bothered with either. If you race first, I can rock. If you not, I won't. He was, what was your number, black man? You was 4? 5 right here. And then the sister 6, and that's it. Right here.
Good evening, soldier.
Good evening, black man.
Good evening, soldier.
Good evening.
I belong to the National Network Guardians, right? We
Yes, sir.
specialize in security and consulting.
Yes, sir.
We specialize in that. And I was wondering if I can have a talk with you for 5 minutes. So
Take my
if
number.
not-
Only because we so
I got
proud.
the number. I got the number.
What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Yusuf.
Yusuf National Action Network.
Yes, in Harlem, 145th and Linux.
Text me and I'm gonna hit you back.
Okay.
I got you.
I got, all right, good one. Thank you.
We're going to get to a sister here. We got to get mothers in the race. Who's number 6?
There's only one, and that's her. Unapologetically African shirt.
Hello, Dr. Umar.
Go right ahead, love.
I just want to ask a question because sometimes it becomes kind of confusing. Because me, myself, understanding history, I don't believe in God.
Okay.
And I just want to know when you're saying God, I mean to be more specific. Because growing up with me, when I define God as someone of a European look, you know, and when I speak to people at work or in my community, everybody that believes in God don't see God as what you would call God. So I'm just saying, can you be more specific and let people know what you're saying and what you're defining God as being?
Well, number one, good question. Number one, you cannot totally describe that which is indescribable. All of us can only approximate what we understand supreme consciousness to be, because the universal mind is much greater than the human mind, and we cannot embrace the totality of supreme consciousness. With that being said, for me, supreme consciousness represents that original catalytic force that brought into being all that exists, and from which all living things extend. So from that conceptualization, you are an aspect of God. I am an aspect of God. The Orishas, the Loas, the ancestors, we are all aspects of that one. Okay? But being an aspect of the one is not the same as being the one. I am of my Father, but I'm not my Father. So there's still a difference, you see. But I recognize God as that supreme origin of all living beings. For the school? Yes. If you got a school donation, make sure it's made out to FDMG Academy. Make sure your name, phone number, and email is on it, because I'm going to have a special reception once the school is done for all my donors. So make sure your contact info is on it. Oh, love. That's love. We put that in the school library. That's love, brother. Appreciate that. We also going to have a cleanup day for everybody who want to come down to Delaware and get an early sneak peek at the school and do some painting and, you know, a little cleaning on the outside. We're going to be doing that too. Appreciate you. Okay. So on that note, we're going to start with these pictures.
Any more questions?
Nah, that's it.
That's it.
We got a line.